So hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. We have been doing this for, well, since COVID started, as a way of helping people how to work more effectively. It started really helping people understand how to work effectively in a remote world, then a hybrid world, and now it's just in general taking advantage of fabulous technology. With me today is we have Nancy, who's a productivity consultant and our Microsoft 365 training extraordinaire, as Sheila just said, which is wonderful. And then also we have Arnie with us, and Arnie really, his role on our team is really looking at things from a business process improvement standpoint. Again, an expert in Microsoft 365 and in particular SharePoint. He's our SharePoint guru. So the topic today is, I'll let Nancy actually introduce why we picked the topic today, but today this is the topic in case of emergency. And in the chat feature, Nancy's going to post a bunch of links. If you're curious about past webinars that you missed, you can go to our ctcproductivity.com website and go to the webinar page. And there's a list of all the recordings. Also in the link is a place to sign up for our newsletter. If you sign up for our newsletter, we're always going to forewarn you about what the topics are coming up. And yeah, so the next month, we're going to do a little bit more of a technical topic. It's still applicable to end users around what's our role in keeping our business environment secure, plus some additional information that would be really definitely good for leaders to be aware of on security reporting, different things like that. And then in March, Arnie is going to walk us through how to use Microsoft 365 to manage when you use EOS. EOS is Entrepreneurial Operating System. It's a business methodology that started in Minnesota many years ago. And so we have a lot of companies here that use EOS, and it's definitely global. But even if you don't use EOS, it's applicable. It's really about how to manage your organization, have access to good reporting, drilling up and drilling down on information, et cetera. So whether you're an EOS company or not, it's worth coming to that one. I am a little bit of background and then hand the floor over to Nancy. And Nancy's going to just really go through content for about 20 minutes, then we're going to open it up for Q&A. And so just a couple things. We've shown this slide a lot about the changes in the business world. And so really what's happening is we're moving to more of a teams environment. So this is a study from Deloitte. So it's just talking about the fact that we're no longer working as an independent individual. We tend to work in networks of teams, whether it be an executive team, a project team, even a team with our suppliers, vendors, and customers. And Microsoft 365 is allowing us to work in that team environment much more effectively. These are many of the business issues that, you know, they've been around for a while, but they're exacerbated by working in a team environment. We often in the team joke about the fact that, you know, really, or I don't know about joke, but I always say organization to me is really the founding principle of productivity. So if you have organized tasks, organized data, organized calendars, you know, you really drive productivity. And Microsoft 365 really helps with organization of information. Communication, definitely a bigger challenge as you start working within a team's environment. Accountability became a huge issue during COVID in particular. A lot of managers, I think, managed by walking around and thinking if people are in their seats, they were productive. And we've realized we need better ways of really tracking the work that people do. So these are typical business issues that we're seeing with 365. We continue to monitor what's going on with the work environments, and definitely seeing it's going to continue to be a hybrid environment. So again, if you are working in a remote environment, hybrid environment, Microsoft 365 is a no-brainer. Lots of great ways of being able to collaborate with a remote workforce, including like construction sites, people in the field that have always worked, you know, outside of the office. These are some great stats from Microsoft 365. It's really been an interesting transition over the last probably 6 or 8 months, I'd say. I do a lot of public speaking, a lot of speaking to CEO peer groups. And when I first started talking about 365, many of them were not really using it. Now it's more common that there's at least one company, maybe two, that are at some level of dipping their toe in a little bit more than they were 8 months ago. And so what's awesome about it is I'm not the only one singing the praises about the productivity benefits of using the tool set. There's now peers in the room saying, yes, no question, you want to leverage these technologies. So the only companies that we tend to hear complaints from historically are ones that we see are trying to do it on their own and kind of tripping and falling. And so if you're kind of the company that wants to do it right, you probably want to have a better understanding going into the suite of tools, in particular, the team's environment and planner and how that all works together.
Did I miss one?
No, thank
Nope.
you.
Okay. just checking. Okay, so you might be asking or wondering why we chose this topic, since it's a bit different than what we normally talk about and what we usually do. As some of you might have known, that last year we lost a team member to a heart attack, which took all of us by surprise. Our first reactions were shock, disbelief, and grief. Lots of grief. Tears are in my eyes right now just thinking about it. Amidst the grief, our thoughts turned to our clients. Where were their processes? Where were Walter's notes and files? Do we have access to all this information? Our answer was clearly Microsoft 365. All of the client files and notes were stored in a shared location. Yay! And not only is it important that we see that in case of emergency is important and planning for those disasters, or in this case, a health emergency, but there is a National Preparedness Month sponsored by FEMA. So it's nationally recognized and it's in September. The purpose is to raise awareness about steps individuals, families, corporations, organizations, and communities can take to be ready for disasters and emergencies that could happen at any time. And this has prompted many companies to put disaster policies in place. All right, I know September's a long ways off, but it never hurts to plan early, right? Today, we're going to cover how utilizing Microsoft 365 can help you be prepared for a disaster. As I mentioned, in our case, it was a health emergency. We'll show you how organizations and individuals can be prepared, utilizing Microsoft 365 Teams, cloud storage options, using a password manager, and documenting your processes. We've talked a lot about Microsoft Teams over the last couple of years, and this one app has become our go-to location. It's our collaboration hub. The Teams app was our lifesaver. Between the channel posts, so we have a channel for clients and the posts of what's happening with the clients, what is that status, letting us know so that we are aware of exactly what is happening. The second was OneNote. OneNote is where during client meetings, notes were taken, what's happening, what's the next step in it. And so we were quickly able to understand the status and progress of projects. We've talked about it before, files. So right inside the Teams hub in each of the channel is a location and a spot for you to save your files. So all of the files that Walter was working on were there and we could easily access them. Certainly was a lifesaver. Any of the projects and tasks that were happening, a plan was created and we had the different tasks. What was the status of those tasks, or what were the tasks that needed to be completed yet? What were the ones that were already completed? It helped us to evaluate more Jan to evaluate, what's going on and who does she need to find to help with the completion of the rest of the tasks. Now, not only were those tasks available in Planner, which is what the task app is when you look into a channel, but also going over into Task by Planner was easy for us to see all the plans and all the clients that had tasks that still needed to be completed. As you can see, Microsoft Teams was super helpful during our emergency. If your company is not using Teams, that's okay. If you have 365, you have cloud storage options. And by putting files in the cloud, that makes them or helps them be accessible no matter where you are. So if you do have 365, cloud storage options are SharePoint and OneDrive. Again, over the last couple of years, we talked quite a bit about both of these. SharePoint, our integration with Teams, gives you a place for those shared working files, those project files that everybody on the team or in the organization has access to. And OneDrive is that personal workspace for you in your organization. You have some files that, yeah, they're sort of back behind the scenes, information you want for yourself. And so you can store those on your OneDrive, and that gives you access. With the OneDrive, so with the SharePoint, if something happens to a person on your team, the files are still accessible. With your OneDrive, the IT administrator can access those OneDrive files and see if there's anything important for the team, so they're not completely lost. And that is huge as well. There's also, many other cloud storage options. If your company's not using Microsoft 365 or you're not using it personally, that's okay. You probably are already using one of these, whether it's the iCloud or Google Drive or Dropbox. And if you didn't know, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you also have space on Amazon. So please stop storing your files on your C drive, put them in a shared location. The files stored in the shared location belong to your organization, and users access them by signing in with their work email address and password. Easy peasy. But passwords aren't just for work access anymore, right? We need passwords for everything these days. So let's just take a look at a few statistics before I get into the nitty-gritty of a password manager. We might have 23 to 85 passwords personally, and statistics show that we could have up to 191 passwords for our business to sign in.
That's crazy.
51% of the people say that they use the same passwords for their work and personal accounts. Now, 91% of these people know that using the same password for different accounts is risky. However, 66% of us still do so. And lastly, just so you know, it only takes a hacker 10 minutes to crack a lowercase 6-character password. Whew. With all those passwords, no wonder we use the same or similar password for multiple accounts, but this is not secure. A password manager is going to help you in many ways. The first is to organize your information. No more sticky notes in your wallet, on your desk, in your phone. And I have some clients and some friends who say, what are your passwords? Oh, I have a note on my iPhone. Yeah, okay, easily accessed. Get rid of those. You don't have to remember a gazillion passwords anymore, or well, maybe I didn't say quite that many, maybe up to 200, but you don't have to remember all of those. All your passwords are organized in one location for you. Second is the security. When you go ahead and use a password manager, it's encrypted, and it's usually, not that this number means anything to you, probably 256 character encrypted. And so that is hugely helpful. Also, the password manager helps you generate stronger and longer passwords. As I mentioned, 6-character, lowercase, 10 minutes, they're into it. But if you have a 10, 12, 14, or 16-digit password, which we'll never remember, but our password manager will, then it becomes a stronger password for you. And the only password you'll need to remember then is your master password. Most passwords also give you the ability to share. You get to control who has access. And you can share with a trusted person. They can have access on your behalf. Sharing their master password with that person, a trusted person, ensures future access for all of your digital footprint. We wanted to bring up a list and just show you a few. This is certainly not all of the passwords that are out there that businesses can use. These are some of the top ones. And it shows here that there's also add-ons available for some of these. Some of them include a whole bunch of stuff without having to add it on. And this is the per user per month. And the nice thing about the business ones is that you can put that password manager on unlimited devices. So if you have a personal computer, your business computer, your personal phone, your business phone, and so it's all in one location for you. Many of those business plans also include reporting. So this is important for organizations so that they can review what's been going on, how are people using it. Gives a company the ability to do remote deletion of company accounts. So you have this password manager, you leave the company, they can go ahead and they can wipe those out on your behalf. Making it easy for one single sign-on to access all of your accounts in the organization. Multi-factor authentication, we'll talk a little bit more about that next month, but that's that, hey, do you know someone's logging into your account? Mass deployment, that saves companies loads of time when they can mass deploy a new password, an updated password to everybody, instead of you trying to, hey, I can't get into this, you call call somebody or chat with them. Group sharing, so one password can be created and then shared with your whole department. A big feature is, as we're moving away and just using cloud apps, we might be in a public location using Wi-Fi, and the public Wi-Fi VPN is a protection. So it gives you that extra layer of security when you are using a public Wi-Fi that you're not going to have just logging on to any Wi-Fi. Compromised password alerts, and companies like this because it lets them know, hey, someplace this employee's password and email have been compromised, and they can let you know and change it. And I thought it was very interesting because it's so important to have a password manager that almost all of the business options offer a free personal or a family account to encourage you not just to use password managers for your company, but also to use them for yourself.
Nancy, a couple comments. That's fascinating about the public VPN. I didn't realize that. That's outstanding. And just so people know, like your IT hardcore techie people that want you to have a secure environment do recommend, at least I know they recommend LastPass. I'm not as familiar with the others. So it's important to use. And then my favorite feature is definitely the facial recognition. So you can use the facial recognition to automatically log you in through LastPass.
See, that right away tells me that she's an iPhone user, because that's what all my iPhone users say.
Yes.
But Android, at least my phone, not all the older phones, mine does have facial recognition, but I can tell you that if my hair's down or my hair's up, it doesn't always recognize me. So I use my biometrics, which is my fingerprint, for mine. And it's the same thing. It's easy to get in. I don't have to do anything special. It's secure. So if my phone's stolen, they don't have my face, or Jan's face, or my fingerprint to access our information. But yes, that public, that Wi-Fi VPN, that is huge. It's quick and easy to turn on your phone, so that when you are using a public location, and that's also included in several of the personal password managers, especially Norton has that built into it. I think LastPass does. You would have to dive a little bit deeper into it. LastPass is my favorite. That's what I use. I used to use Norton. There's pros and cons. The IT people, they kind of say Norton is what they call bloatware on your computer, and it can make things run slower. So they're not all gung-ho about it. The other ones were just like part of the top 10 or 20 that in multiple lists that I found on the web. I do have several clients or friends using Dashlane. 1Password has been around for years. And as you can see, even with the personal accounts, it's unlimited. You can put it on as many devices as you want. Put it in your browser. It's an app extension in your browser so that it will save all of them. One of the password managers you'll notice is not on either of these lists is Google or Edge or Safari, where it asks you to save passwords. If you're saving there, it's a little better option than the Post-it note on your desk or the note on your phone, but I haven't heard an IT person say, yeah, that's a great password manager and you don't have to worry about getting hacked. So I typically, as I set clients up, I turn off save my passwords, and I go ahead and get my clients set up. We get our clients set up with a password manager. So what are the important things? Create that strong master password. This is the only password you need to remember. And by strong, it needs to be long and it needs to contain a bunch of things. So you want uppercase and lowercase letters. You want numbers, but not sequential numbers. You don't want 1, 2, 3. You don't want 4, 5, 6 or 6, 5, 4. You want that interspersed between your letters. And then you want to use the different wildcard symbols, the ampersand, the exclamation point, the asterisk. Be careful of using the slash, because that is, whether it's a forward or a backward slash, that means something else to the computer. So typically the passwords don't put that in there. 10, 12, 14, 16 characters, that is what is recommended for your master password. And if you can, go ahead and spell something. So I have a client, trying to think what's, they use, GR and then the letter 8 for the word great. And then great something, something, something. I can't remember because I try not to remember my client's passwords. But it's things like that so that it spells a phrase if you haven't heard that before. Install that that password manager on all of your devices. And as I mentioned, if you're looking at Edge or Google, or Chrome, Edge or Chrome, then it is an extension so that when you open a page and you have login information, your password manager will automatically fill it in for you. And then get rid of those sticky notes, as I mentioned, off your phone, off your desk. We don't want those. One thing I don't have on here, and I should probably mention it, is again a security feature. Don't share your password in an email or a text. Please don't do that. You are totally getting rid of all the security your password is giving you, and password managers give you the ability to share. Lastly, take some time to document. It helps and it assists your organization, your colleagues, your family in knowing how to access your calendar, your contacts, your email accounts, your financial information, who are the professionals that you work with. Now, this doesn't need to be a complex, scenario here. And certainly by Walter utilizing a password manager and utilizing Microsoft 365, it made it much easier for his family to know who he was working with. They could look at his calendar, see who he had appointments upcoming with or previously with, and reach out to people. So it's important to have that information accessible. It doesn't need to be a complex process. It can be as simple as grab a piece of paper, grab a manila file folder, write down your master password for your password manager, your computer and phone password or PIN, because those are probably different than your master password or should be, and share the location of this file with someone that you trust. So if it's in your house, share it with your spouse, your significant other, a roommate that you trust, or all the password managers, at least I know LastPass does, they give you the ability to create a secure note. And so create that secure note and then share it again with somebody that you know and trust to say, hey, this is how you're going to go ahead and access my computer and access my phone if something happens to me. So what are your next actions? Utilize Microsoft 365 apps to ensure uninterrupted access to the notes and the files. Those apps such as Teams, OneNote, Planner, and cloud storage options, SharePoint, OneDrive, and the other apps that I showed you earlier. Use a password manager. It gives you one location, one secure location to store all your digital accounts, passwords, and information. Take the time to document where to find and how to access that basic information I just said, your password, your calendar. And finally, don't forget to review your documentation regularly. Our lives change. We may change our master password for whatever reason. We forgot it, or we've been using it for 3 or 4 years and we want to update it. Verify it's still accurate and get it updated. I know this might seem overwhelming, but putting the time in up front saves time later and gives you peace of mind knowing that you will be prepared in case of emergency.
Oh, you're a time management coach, Nancy. You start and end on time. Awesome. Just a comment, feel free to enter any questions. They don't necessarily have to be around in case of emergency. It can be anything with Microsoft 365. We're happy to help. I'm just going to do a couple quick slides and then we'll open it up for Q&A. A lot of people think all we do is Microsoft 365. So we just couple slides here. So we are basically, what we are doing is helping eliminate waste in organizations. And sometimes that means somebody needs time management coaching. Sometimes they need to learn how to run an effective meeting. And sometimes they have processes that are broken or inefficient, and technology can help solve that problem. So we really, what Arnie does for us is really from a process improvement, looking at business workflows and how can technology leverage it. Same with Nancy and I, we're looking for where can things be automated and streamlined through using technology. We do a lot of training on every one of these topics. Project management has become a really big one for us. We actually have a number of clients right now that have project management in their title, and they're really bad planners. So there's a lot of assumptions made that everybody understands how to be a good planner. So a hot topic now in particular, again, as Deloitte is telling us, we're moving into a network of teams. Anybody who's managing a team really is a project manager. So, and then Nancy and Arnie do a lot of great technical training on Microsoft 365. Yeah, perfect. So we just a reminder of the webinars, Nancy will enter into the chat again. So the one next month is going to be really a continuation of this conversation around security, a deeper dive there. So maybe there's somebody else in your organization that should be attending this particular topic. There's a lot of companies when we meet with them and we ask if they have compliance, if they need to be following compliance, and they say yes. And when we get in and actually look at their environment, they're not at all following compliance rules, which some of your compliance rules are around security. So it's interesting. A lot of people didn't want to put data in the cloud. Now they're putting data in the cloud, but they're not making it as secure as they should. So it should be a good topic. The one after that, then again, we'll have Arnie talking about managing with EOS, or again, if you don't use EOS, it's worth your while to understand how you can leverage information and different tools for running your business more effectively at a managerial level. Now we can open it for Q&A. So you're welcome to enter into chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask questions. Again, anything with 365, we're open.
So one of the notes in the chat from Gerald, thanks Gerald for putting that in there, is he mentions his personal vault in OneDrive. And I just want to, as everyone sees that, so if it is a business account OneDrive, there is not a personal vault. So if you're looking after you saw that and you're going, where's this personal vault? In business OneDrive, there is no personal vault. That is only for your personal Microsoft account. And that does include your free Microsoft account, in addition to an individual plan or a family plan. So just remember that. That is one way to do it. And I love that you have it in your vault and it's secured that way. LastPass, there is still a free version of that. And what is so nice is that you don't even have to go and open that. Add the extension to your browser. And when you go to a website, it just goes ahead and it automatically fills in the passwords for you. Because I also used to put mine on an Excel spreadsheet and save it in my vault. But when I'm out and about trying to scroll through a spreadsheet that was 19 pages long on my little teeny tiny 5-inch screen, it was impossible. So when I moved to LastPass, my life was changed and liberated.
Just a reminder too, the recordings are all out on the ctcproductivity.com website. So if there was something in this topic you thought was relevant to others in your organization, let them know. They can go find it there. So. We could expand it into just general productivity if you have questions there too, not 365.
I was going to say they're all sticking around, but they're not asking any questions.
This is Sheila. I have a reflection. I'm thinking about the LastPass or personal vault, and in my personal life, I've spent a fair bit of time and energy organizing an estate plan, but didn't think fully about digital accounts and my digital life. So this gives me more to think about in that realm. And it's also helpful because I know I have family members that are low tech that would benefit from simple and not a 3-ring binder that's, 3 inches thick.
Right. It's been a blessing also for my parents, because my mom used to change passwords and then forget to update them on her piece of paper. And so moving her to LastPass, as soon as she changes a password, because she's asked to change a password, LastPass captures it, and then all of her passwords are shared with me. And so I also can easily access stuff. In regards to estate planning, absolutely. The one thing, again, we just updated my parents' estate plans, and their power of attorney was done in 1995. And I have another friend of mine who's 70 some years old, and she asked me to be her power of attorney for financial and healthcare. And when we set that up, there was all this language about digital footprint, and that my power of attorney can access all that information. I give that person the ability to do that. So when we updated my parents' stuff, their power of attorney was so outdated from 1995 compared to 2021. And it went from, maybe a 4-page document to like a 10-page document because of how our world has changed. So thank you, Sheila, for your observations and bringing that up.
Well, if there's no questions, we can totally wrap up. So chime in now if you've got a remaining question. Otherwise, we're giving you time back in your day. So that's fun. So yay. Well, awesome job, Nance, as usual. So thanks, everyone. Hope to see you next month. Reach out if you have any questions.